Hello, and welcome to Candidates Up Front. This is a public interest election program of Berks Community Television and the League of Women Voters of Berks County. I'm Judith Cranus. Our May 20th municipal primary election is fast approaching. Democrats and Republicans will select their candidates for judges, school directors, and township, borough, and city officials. This is the election where Democrats and Republicans choose the candidates who will represent them on the November ballot. However, when there is a question on the ballot, as there is in the Kutztown School District, all registered voters in that district vote on the question. It's not just Democrats and Republicans. Any registered voter should come and vote. To check your voting status, you can go online to vote.pa.gov. And that is the official state Pennsylvania website. It's a government site, very safe. And there you can register to vote. You can change your party. You can locate your polling place, or you can apply for an absentee or mail-in ballot. And the deadline to register is May 5th. The deadline to apply for a mail-in ballot is May 13th. Now, the League, in its part, is interviewing those candidates who want to be interviewed in the contested races. For each race, the candidates will get the same basic questions and have the same amount of time to answer them. Let's begin.
Hello, I'm Bill Litvin, a member of the League of Women Voters of Berks County. The featured office today is Reading City Council. Council members act on legislation, set the budget, and confirm appointments of the city manager and members of boards. They need to have lived in their district 1 year prior to the primary election and must retain residency in their district. They serve part-time for a 4-year period. There are 2 Democratic candidates in District 1, Denise Johnson and Vanessa Campos. You vote for one. District 1 is Southwest Reading. Each candidate's views are those of their own and not those of the League or BCTV. And today our candidate is Vanessa Campos. Welcome.
Thank you.
Please tell our viewers about yourself and why you are running.
So I am currently the counselor for District 1 in the city of Reading, and I am a former educator of the Reading School District. I taught in the district for about 13 years, and I have 15 years in total of leadership experience in the realm of public service, serving our city. And as a public servant, I am committed to multiple boards, authorities, and commissions. And I also conduct community meetings with our constituents and invite local and state officials on pressing topics within our city. My education background, I have a bachelor's in education, a master's in education. I am a certified literacy coach. So within my education background, I was a leader of a department head, a committee chair, an intern supervisor, a coach, and a mentor. And I enjoyed those roles because it helped me work with different personalities and help me focus on a common goal, which is very similar to the seat that I'm running, which is in council president. And overall, I'm a balanced professional with proven leadership and educational experience for the role. I also I represent the 65 to 70% of the Hispanic population in the city of Reading. I am bilingual, and I think representation is important in overcoming these barriers. So my strengths is that my education helps me discern facts from opinion when in position of leaderships, help me be analytical and be reflective in discussion and in conversations, and making sure that we're asking the right questions and we're intentional with our goals and our responses. So as we're moving the city forward, there is a lot of collaborations with officials, administration, with our colleagues and council. And it's important to make sure that our engagement is productive and that we are moving towards that common goal instead of steering away from it.
Well, Vanessa, you've answered questions 1, 2, and 3. Which is fine, but I don't think you have anything to add, but I'll ask if you want to add anything about your education and background. But I think you already covered that pretty well.
I did, yes.
That's fine. And the third question would have been, what personal qualities do you have? I think you kind of answered that as well. If you want to add anything, you're welcome to.
I would say yes. I hinted to it. I think discernment is very important. Having a sound judgment and maintaining a balanced perspective and unbiased perspective. So in my tenure as an educator in my classroom, and again working with teachers and different administrators, you have to make sure that you're maintaining a balance and that you're listening to the old perspective without being steered in one direction. I think at the end of the day, you got to have that reflection and that thinking process that I think is important. I am a huge fan of listening before speaking. So take in and collect the information, the data in front of you, different perspective, different presentation, and then digest it. Try to look through that information and reflect, give yourself that time to then make the proper decision and then decide on the next step. And then outline the next action steps that are needed to help us move towards the common goal and at the table, which I think that process is a strength that I bring.
Okay, and excuse me. And what do you see as the biggest issues that you think Reading will be facing over the next 4 years?
The biggest issue, in my opinion, I would say just the revitalizing of our downtown. I know we have Chris in the works, which is great. We have our downtown strategic plan that council recently passed, which is also something that helps us move in the right direction. So these are the tools that we have in our hand that can help push this directive. Downtown is a big focus and a big, I would say, asset of the city of Reading, and it needs plenty of dedication and a lot of investment, which is something that council and administration and other state officials and local officials are working towards. Aside from our downtown, I see us still working on blighted properties and making sure that we're revitalizing, redeveloping those. And I'm also a member of the Redevelopment Authority, so that is something that we're actively involved in. And like the downtown strategic plan, we recently passed in council the blight housing and blight strategy plan, which again details what action steps to take to help tackle these blighted properties and make sure that we're uplifting Reading in the best way possible.
Well, I can't wait to get to ask you the question about what you do in your spare time, but that's not my question right now. What do you think are the most important concerns for the people in your district or in the city?
So the most important concerns with my constituents and overall, I would say, is the quality of life. They continue to express issues when it comes to the infrastructure of our city, the roads, the potholes, and that type of thing that is ongoing. Sidewalks is a big issue. Also safety, when it comes to our police just patrolling and making sure they are in areas that are visible to deter any violence, deter any gathering that can become chaotic. So I know our police chief is working on strategies, continuously working on different ways to prevent violence and also patrol and be visible. So I would say infrastructure, safety, quality of life is something that continues to come forth in the city with my constituents and in council as well, and as well as housing. Housing is another one that I think gets tied to the quality of life in our city.
When council is approving a mayoral appointment, what criteria will you consider?
So for the mayoral appointment, I would say background. So what experience, what educational background, I think those are strong qualities to have for that position. You are the head chief of a city that is very busy, very diverse. You're working with so many different personalities and people of different levels. How do you navigate those waters? How do you maintain focus? And how would you make sure that you're aligning the city's interest and placing that first? So background, when it comes to education, I know there's a lot of degrees that lend to politic or public administration experience. And then character, I think, is very important. How do you handle yourself under pressure and under high stress, demand, and quick turnaround of timelines? How do we actively make sure we're moving along? So it would be a combination of education, experience, and character that would make this mayor candidate the best one.
You already mentioned blighted properties, but how would you address the issue of blighted properties in the city, if you want to elaborate more on that?
So the strategic plan that we passed in council for blighted property recommends that we set blight priority areas. It has a map, and this strategic plan is available for the public that they can look and navigate through. It's very detailed. So is the blight coordination, meaning that where is the blighted properties of focus? Another strategy is prevention. How do we best prevent that these properties become blighted so that we're not having a long list of them? Remediation would be another strategy. So try to identify problem properties and try to keep the list of certified properties that we have currently, keep them up to date. And we would remediate blight by prioritizing properties for intervention. And then another strategy is redevelopment. So making sure that we're working with the redevelopment authority to ensure that we're using acquisition tools to make sure we're transforming these blighted properties and these communities and uplifting them.
Now, most of the time, Reading is a safe place to work, live, and visit. But violence is a concern for many folks, drugs, gangs, even just disagreements or whatever hurts the reputation of the city. What can the city do to thwart this violence?
So I would, like I mentioned before, I would say policing strategies and actions plans that are strategic throughout the city. So there's different areas in our cities that have more violence than other, or spots and spaces that people gather that probably just having a good time, and then it ends up to, because of the overcrowdedness, because of the different personalities at stake, then it turns into violence. So I would say work closely with the city, with the chief, with our captains, making sure we're maintaining those open lines of communication is very important, because as long as administration and especially council is informed, that way we can continue to inform and educate our constituents and best support. I also believe in the organizations that exist already, the nonprofit organizations as well that exist in our city that are helping thwart that violence, that are creating events, that are supporting our youth, that are working with families. So continuing to push and promote these organizations so that people feel included, they feel involved, and make sure we're sharing the positivity of our city and not always focusing on that violence.
You know, budget decisions are hard. Sometimes the services that people enjoy, parks and libraries, are underfunded, so that things that people need, police and street repair, can be properly funded. How will you prioritize spending when you vote on the budget?
So for the budget season that council has within the last 3 or 4 months of the year, it's important to listen to the different departments in our administration and what the needs and the demands are. So community development is a very big department that deals with so many areas of quality of life, and it needs to have a stable workforce so that we are able to tackle the codes and the enforcements and these issues that comes with blighted property. Do we have those inspectors that are citing these properties or these absentee landlords? So I think it's important to invest in a strong workforce so that we're at capacity and help address the codes and the quality of life that is the issue with our constituents. I would also say it's important to we have funds for capital improvement projects that the city has that is meant to work with projects in the city. But since we left Act 47 and we're in a great financial standing at this time, we're looking at the next few years and 5 years to invest in long-term investments that are able to bring back revenue and help revitalize our city. So that would be a priority.
Okay. And how will you encourage public participation in issues being discussed or decided by City Council?
So in this day and age, we have the advantage of using social media, which helps us push information out in the fingertips of our constituents. So continuing to promote and make sure that our Reading City Council page, as well as the councilors page like myself, are sharing information that are pertinent to our constituents, that they need to know the agenda that's coming up, how to access the agenda. Here's where you can find the minutes. So sharing that in social media is important. Also allowing opportunities during public comments in our second and fourth meetings in council, which is on Mondays, and they're able to sign up and speak, and that also gives us an opportunity to respond to these concerns and have that dialogue. So maintaining, again, an open door that we can be reached through email, a phone call, come to council chambers, and also through social media and express concerns. But it also goes both ways, continuing with community meetings and providing these spaces, and also being accessible as councilors and even as council president, being out and about and being present so that the residents can feel heard and you are involved in the community.
Okay. If elected, what are your priorities for the coming term?
So my priorities, if elected for council president, I would say is to make sure that our council operations are working in the most efficient and effective way possible. Sometimes we're comfortable doing things a certain way, but can we do it in a more efficient manner? So working closely with our clerk's office and making sure, again, that council as a body, as a legislative body, is accessible to our community, our constituents, the public, so that we're interacting and that we're taking in their voice and their concerns and incorporating it into our agenda and into our discussions, because that's how we make change, by involving the community. So that would be another priority: the accessibility, the outreach, and the involvement of the community. And then, of course, a better working relationship with our administration, with our local officials, state official. That is huge and crucial. We're not here to point fingers of who dropped the ball, who didn't do what. We're here to make things happen. Once, we had a little hiccup, let's move past it and strengthen these relationships and continue to make that positive change that I think is important. And it comes with character, which I think I have to bring.
Okay, and I'm going to combine two questions. What are your ideas to make Reading a more attractive place for families, and by the same token, more attractive place for businesses?
So to make Reading most attractive place for businesses, like I mentioned before, the downtown and the CRIZ, working with the Downtown Improvement Plan. I know we have our downtown core manager that has a team that is working on creating events and continuing to involve the community so that people can come over. Not only the residents get out of their house and join us in these events, but visitors from nearby cities and municipalities can come over and see how attractive, how much fun we have here in Reading. So that's important. In terms of businesses, I believe, again, in the downtown area, we are working towards making sure that these our ordinances that are probably preventing businesses from having a smooth transaction and creating their businesses, we're amending those to make sure that they are successful and that they are able to so remove those barriers that prevent businesses from staying in Reading or opening a business here in Reading. I think that's something important that legislation and the council body can look at so that we are facilitating that entrance. So in terms of businesses and families, I think that there's a lot that we can continue to do and grow on and expand on what we're already doing.
I think you said CRIZ. Can you explain that to the viewers?
Sure.
What CRIZ is?
So CRIZ is it's it helps is finance redevelopment and business opportunities in downtown. So that's what the CRIZ is. We have a CRIZ zone in the city of Reading, which is an area, and this is also again public information that we can get in the city's website. It is an area and includes downtown and some other nearby areas. That is a zone that was elected. So you can have businesses, developers, or interested parties that would like to invest in this zone, in this area, and apply with the CRIZ to seek financing. And then we have the CRIZ Authority, which are nominations that City Council was able to pass. And those nominations were people that created the CRIZ Authority that then oversees this, that monitor those that have applied for the CRIZ and how that works. So it is financial assistance that businesses, developers receive, and there's an application that they can apply. There are revenues and taxes involved as well. There's a little bit more detail, but overall is a zone within our city that is meant to revitalize and provide economic development and opportunities.
And how are you financing? How are you financing your campaign?
So my campaign, because I'm running for city council president, I'm very careful at who endorses and who finances, because I don't want the biases within that seat. I think council president has a lot of responsibility, but must maintain balance as one that is steering the agenda and that is making sure that we're including all voices and the council body. So my supporters, friends and families are supporting my campaign. They're contributing either monetarily or in labor and making sure that my credentials and qualities are being known to those that might not know about me and want to learn more. So I do have a great team, a great support that is not only monetary funds that I would count it with, I would also count it with time and investment in that respect.
Okay, and you have about 40 seconds for your closing statement.
Okay, so for my closing statement, I think I have a summary of great qualifications, and I'm going to start as a woman. I believe we need more women voice in politics and legislation. We bring a different perspective into these spaces. I come from a Latino background as well, so I am bilingual. I have those two languages and also that culture that I can represent and have that background on. My master's and bachelor's in education with high honors that I received makes me a reflective and analytical professional in this field. And I think overall I have that character that I have demonstrated in council to be balanced, to be reflective, and to also be invested. I have demonstrated investment in my roles and dedicated that time into this profession.
Thank you, Vanessa Campos, for sharing your views with us. Viewers, please remember there is another Democratic candidate for City Council District 1, Denise Johnson. You may vote for one. And you will find Candidates Upfront interviews on BCTV and its website and YouTube. For more information on candidates, go to the League's online voters guide, vote411.org. That's vote411.org, or call the Election Services Office at 610-478-6490, or email them at elections@berkspa.gov. Thank you for watching Candidates Upfront.